Do you have to focus more on SEO or more on GEO? Well, I think that this is the wrong question and that we need a different understanding of how AI search works today. So for appearing more often in AI models, what we all want, right, you need to understand the three layers of how AI search works. And this is exactly what we are exploring today in this video. Let's go. And by the way, if you're new to this channel, my name is Robert and I've been supporting B2B companies with professional search engine optimization since 2018 already. And we've worked with 50 plus B2B industrial companies. If you also want to have a free consultation call regarding your SEO or GEO strategy, definitely book a free consultation here at robertsiegis.com/en. So let's first of all talk about the big misconception about GEO. And I think most marketers, or many marketers at least, think that AI model optimization and the shift from classical search engines like Google to the Google AI mode and ChatGPT search and Perplexity, etc., is a brand new different thing where you need, brand new strategies to apply in order to get quoted and get cited in those models. And I think that this assumption is fundamentally wrong. Or as Danny Sullivan from Google says himself in this article from Search Engine Land, a good SEO is good GEO. And therefore, this is what I'd like to take now as a foundation to explain you the three layers of how AI search works these days. So what we all have to understand first is, in comparison, when we see how the AI models, especially ChatGPT as one of the most popular AI models and search engines developed in the past 2 years, we see a decreasing amount of information that the models have themselves. So ChatGPT 3.5 was trained on a huge bunch of information that they got from books and from the internet, I think until 2021. But as we all know, the digital world develops fast and we see so many information overloads these days. So in order to stay in touch with this very fast pace and reality, AI models have to give up, at least this is what I observe, have to give up on some of the pre-fed information and require more these days on actual and fresh information, on current data, on up-to-date information. So therefore, when we see the development from ChatGPT 3.5 to ChatGPT 5.0, we have way fewer information today that those AI models have themselves, and therefore they have a huge need for crawling latest up-to-date data from the internet. And we can also display that as an iceberg model. This is, for example, how I would see it in my mind. So the tip of the iceberg is just the information that the AI models have, or those information that they have been fed to. Those things, they're programmed prime code, basically. So the primary informational core of those models. But as human beings ask AI models for fresh and for current data, a huge part of their work is to crawl the internet for fresh information. And this is the majority of this part of this iceberg. So they crawl way more information and display it then to us users than they have pre-fed. And this is really interesting because that now makes it easy to understand how AI search works today. So there are three layers how these AI models work. The first one is called the informational retrieval layer. And when you come from a classical SEO perspective in the past years or decades, and you have worked as an SEO or as a marketer in a company or for other companies, then this is very familiar to you probably, because the informational retrieval is basically classical SEO, and it's the most important and foundational block here or aspect from those three layers. What we know already from classical SEO, and this is the same thing and concept, crawling, indexing, ranking, and extracting information. So making sure that a website or information on those websites are crawlable, indexable, accessible to the public, to a search engine and their robots. This is what this layer is about. And the better the content is readable, accessible, is just present and online and well structured, the higher the chance is in the first place to get cited in large language models in the secondary or third layer. So this is the foundation. Nothing changed here basically. Maybe, and this is what we see in the third part of this video about what you can do practically and strategically, maybe how you present those information, but even that didn't really change, to be honest. So the second layer to understand that is large language model presentation. And the second layer is relying on what happened in the first layer. So first of all, we have crawled the web now for content and information that are maybe necessary or useful for the users to be found. So the large language model in the second step, they first of all check the content. They compare the content. This website has maybe more elaborate content than the other website. This content is more precise. This content is a bit more easily accessible. So we have a lot of comparison here and a lot of crawling and a lot of analyzing information that were found online and were crawled online in the first step. And those large language models, they now try to understand and prepare those contents and information in terms of language. And what's clear here already is they only and majorly work with the information from the first layer, from what they crawled and found online, what we basically put online followed by SEO rules. They also, of course, have some of the original training data that is involved here to compare and decide. But first of all, most of the information come just from the web crawling, from the foundation. And the third one is now where it gets interesting, which is the agent decision layer. So after information were accessible and crawled, after they were prepared from a language terms perspective, now the agent, so basically the AI model, now it finally decides what it presents to the user and the person who searched for something. So there is this strategic decision maker that, based on information, on everything it found and crawled and compared, now finally quotes to the people and says, this is important. These are the top 5 resources that I found and that I thought are valuable, right? The models are not really thinking, but based on information and on the odds, they decide what's relevant for you. And again, for this decision, they still need all of the information and content from the classical SEO data in the first step. And now the question is, okay, but what does that mean strategically and practically for our GEO strategy? What do we need to focus on today in order to get a high chance to be quoted on Google AI Mode, ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc.? Well, first of all, understand that you ideally still focus a lot of your time, a lot of your budget on the classical SEO foundation. That means building content that's unique and that people find helpful and spreading those contents throughout the web by link building and digital PR. The consequence out of that is that you, over time, if you repeat this process, and you, for example, see that with our example here, right? We appear quite often in AI models as a B2B SEO and GEO specialized agency brand. We are just a really tiny brand, but we are in the awareness of the AI models as a relevant brand because we just do those things. We have relevant content on the website for the keywords and prompts that are searched from our customers. We are linked and do digital PR, so we appear in online magazines and media, and we are also, above from that, present and relevant, for example, here on YouTube, on LinkedIn. YouTube, by the way, is also really powerful. Why? Because YouTube is part of Google. So when I'm relevant on Google and I want to be relevant in the Google AI mode, I also want to be relevant on YouTube, ideally, right? Because it's connected. Well, that's just a side nugget here. But there are definitely also things that we can do now. And this is what I teased before. How we structure our content these days in order to make it easier for the AI models to quote and cite us. First of all, structure your content so it is easily digestible and readable for the AI models. When an AI model is going to your website, they don't read your full article, they don't read your full landing page. They just get a snippet out of this page presented and then decide if this page is even relevant for their final decision. So they pre-qualify your content based on tiny snippets. And if your content is not structured well, you're already gone. So you want to structure your content. I give you an example. A couple years ago, articles were structured like this. You had like a really long introduction, and then you had a lot of headlines, and finally a summary. Today, it's better to do it the other way around. We, for example, have our article here, B2B SEO strategy. We have an introduction, and then we have already the most important key information prepared. Right? When the AI model is now scrolling through our article here, they probably get presented a snippet from here, and then they already see a huge relevance key factor here. Then we have some headlines, and then we have another block, YouTube videos, right? Embed the videos, then presenting content, then working with content boxes to structure the content in a really precise and easily readable way. This is what we want today. So next thing that is relevant in terms of content is focus on content that AI models cannot create themselves. And this is a logical consequence out of the development of how AI models work these days. Because our world is so fast-paced, they always need fresh, reliable content. So they need information to display to their users and to recommend to the people who use those models. And the fresher, the better, the reliable your information are, the better it is to get quoted in those models. So don't just use the models to create your content, but put some effort in to present your processes, your products, your services, applications, case studies on your website. So unique content that only your company knows and that only you can create and present. Those are the information that are highly and mostly relevant for the AI models because they like to feed themselves those information. They look precisely for those types of contents. And last but not least, what's also important is that they want resource that they can trust, because as we all know, AI models still have a huge problem in just making things up. You maybe have seen that before. When you prompt something in ChatGPT, it sometimes just fills in random information that are definitely not correct, and you can identify those information easily. So they want resources that they can trust to solve exactly this problem of randomly filling information. So your information, the content you put on your website, again, have to be ideally really expertise and experience-based content, real case studies from your products, again, real case studies from your services, real explanations of your machines, how those concepts work. They want your brand as a resource for explaining those concepts and niche technologies that you offer to your clients as well. And don't hide those information in PDFs or somewhere in your company files. I've seen that so many times. We work with a lot of industrial companies, and many of those just have their technical information, their processes, their technologies, technical data sheets somewhere hidden in PDFs or in internal manuals that no one will ever read. Put those information online, then you will be quoted and cited more often in AI models. And if you now want to start with your own SEO or GEO journey, we can help you with that. If you want to book a free consultation call, you can do so. Just go to robertseekers.com/en, click free consultation, and we're happy to figure out how your GEO strategy can look like. I see you in the call or in the next video. Have a fantastic day.